Here, the SABC leaders of the so-called E3 group of France, Britain and Germany have called for an end to the war in Gaza through an immediate ceasefire. They say they are committed to supporting diplomatic efforts by the United States, Qatar and Egypt. Meanwhile, developments on the West Bank have grabbed the attention of South African human rights activist and political commentator Pieter Kriel. He now joins us all the way from Jordanian capital Amman. Pieter, thank you so much for your time this evening here on SABC News. Now, let's start off here. I mean, we all know that there has been a war in the Middle East, of course, between Hamas and as well as Israel. And you've spent some time looking just at of your social media networks and what you've been posting over the past couple of days. You also went and spent some time on the West Bank. What made you decide to go and see firsthand the situation in the West Bank?
Thank you, first of all, for having me. And just to clarify, I do not think after visiting Palestine that this is a war. I think that there's a genocide taking place against the people of Palestine for the past 75 years. They have been systemically, deliberately misplaced and chased out of their homeland. So I don't regard this as a conflict. I regard this as a genocide. People that tell me that this is a conflict, they are not aware of the fact that Palestinians, these innocent Palestinians, fight with rocks and slingshots, whilst Israel fights with M16 fighter jets. I think it's not comparable. So I think it's a conflict. I don't think it's a conflict. I think it's a genocide. And when we look at what's happening, checkpoints, we had armed guards point weapons at us for simply refusing for them to look through our bags. It was very difficult entering Palestine for no other reason than the Israeli regime trying to silence activists and journalists. The Palestinian people need a voice, and we didn't go there to give them that voice. We think it would be arrogant to assume that we could do that. We went there to try and expose what's happening in the Middle East.
And maybe if you can just give us a bit of insight, what did you find?
So entering into Palestine, we were immediately questioned by guards, armed guards and Israeli settlers. I was taken into an interrogation room for about an hour, questioned heavily. Eventually we were let through. Immediately after exiting the border crossings, we were stopped by checkpoints where Palestinians stand for hours at end trying to get through. They are humiliated, and these settlers, they just don't care about the rights of Palestinian children and women. We saw guards yelling and shoving children, and I've said to my colleagues and to my friends and family, this trip has changed me for good. I will never be the same again. I think growing up with what apartheid looked like from elders and people, it has changed my mind, because we, alongside my colleague Nkosi Zulu, we saw firsthand what detention, what checkpoints, and what racist remarks look like. And I think, to be honest with you, if these were white people in Palestine, we would have had sanctions and a stop to this a long time ago.
And Pieter, I mean, you keep on also talking about we and Nkosi. Maybe if you can just give us an insight in terms of who was a part of this trip. And at the same time, you talk about that it's changed you, particularly from your perspective, in terms of what you thought, was taking place on the West Bank and in Palestine. And in particular, maybe also then just tell us, Pieter, when it comes to the situation on the West Bank, how dire is the situation on the West Bank?
Absolutely. My colleague Nkosi Zulu, who comes from KZN, we got together, we decided that, listen, we need to start in Palestine. There's an active genocide taking place. Of course, we went in with an open mind, but as soon as we went in, we saw firsthand that Palestinian land was being taken from them the same day an Israeli flag was set up, olive trees being planted on Palestinian land, and then Palestinians being shot or killed simply for picking olives. I say this has changed me, and I assume Nkosi as well. These stories that we've heard, the martyrs that we saw every 5 meters, which is not just grown adult men, it's women and children. We went to Hebron and Nablus specifically, and whilst there, we heard first-hand stories of Palestinians, and we saw the bloodstains on the wall. Every 5 meters, you see bloodstains on the wall. We saw footage, live footage that was shown to us by an organization in Palestine of people being shot in the street. They put their hands up, they surrender, young women and young children, and they get shot. So Israeli settlers dress up as Muslims. They run into Palestinian-controlled areas disguised as Muslims, and they actually kill Palestinians of all religions. So that's why I say this is not a conflict. I absolutely agree that on the 7th of October, there was a crime against humanity. But to me, we need to be careful. Can we actually hold these two to the same level? Because for 75 years, Palestinians have been systemically occupied by basically settlers who come from Europe after 1948.
All right, Pieter, thank you so much for your time.